Good morning, everyone. It's 11 a.m., so let's go ahead and get started. This is Mike Detter with the National Weather Service, and this will be the weekly impact weather briefing for this weekend into next week. For some highlights of the discussion here today and the weather for the next week, the mostly dry conditions that we've had for the last week or two will continue for the next few days. There will be maybe some slight chances of some sprinkles or some light showers, especially Southside Virginia, Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina. But for the most part, through the weekend, it is going to stay dry. The high pressure will remain in control. Now, with that high pressure in control, that this onshore flow this easterly or northeasterly flow will continue through the weekend, and it actually is going to increase with those winds increasing to perhaps up to 30 miles an hour, especially on Sunday close to the coast. And that onshore flow may also cause some nuisance to minor coastal flooding later on Sunday into Monday, especially across Hampton roads. Now, there is this low pressure that will be developing off the southeast coast this weekend and then into next week. It may develop some tropical or subtropical characteristics next week as it moves north or northwest. There's still a lot to be determined about this system or this possible system. But regardless of any development, this onshore flow, it's going to bring moisture back into the area. And looks like next week looks pretty unsettled with locally heavy rain possible really any day next week, especially in the middle to the end of the week. But certainly unsettled, I think, is the key word for next week. And with that onshore flow continuing, our marine partners will see these east to northeast winds increasing through the weekend and even into early next week. Could see some gusts to 30 knots by Saturday or especially Sunday. And those waves will also build along with the winds, and over the open ocean could see waves up to 7 feet by Sunday, and 3 to 5 feet in the bay. And most likely we're going to need small craft advisories. And not to mention the rip current risk. We have a moderate rip current risk through tomorrow. Most likely we'll need moderate or high rip current risk through the weekend into next week. So let's start with this system over or potential system over the southeast or across the southeast coast. There right now, Hurricane Center is saying there is a 30% chance of that subtropical or tropical low may develop off the southeast coast. Regardless, there's a lot of uncertainty about the development of the system, both the track as well as any intensity concerns if it does develop. The one thing that is looking a little more certain is that regardless of the development of this system, increased moisture across the region will happen, and it could allow for the possibility of heavy rainfall early next week and really right through the week. And in addition, those gusty east to northeast winds will continue next week as well. So let's look at the weather pattern now. Excuse me. Again, Friday into Sunday, really pretty dry. This high pressure is going to remain in control through the period. You can notice that this gradual increase of moisture. This is chances of precipitation are trying to get into North Carolina, Southeast Virginia, Southside Virginia. Again, those are probably just going to be light showers or sprinkles, if anything. Most places will stay dry. However, on Monday, and again, depending on what this system does exactly and where it goes, and again, there's a lot of uncertainty, that's when we could start seeing better chances for rain. And again, that locally heavy rainfall is certainly possible as we get into next week. We've been dry, so we can actually use some rain, but we certainly don't want to see a lot of heavy rainfall. And in fact, you can see this with our accumulated precipitation forecast. This is for Thursday through Saturday, and really through Sunday. Not much rain, maybe a little bit again across Northeast North Carolina, Southeast Virginia, it's really this Sunday through Tuesday period where you start to see that influx of moisture, especially along and south of 64. And we're showing amounts 1 to 2 inches through Tuesday. Some of our guidance is showing additional rain through the end of the week of 3, 4, 5, even 5 inches. So again, through that, and that's through the end of the week. So again, very unsettled. Unsettled weather is expected next week. And this just sort of goes into showing the different precipitation amounts for various cities across the state. But you can see there's not much for our area through the weekend. And again, starting Monday, especially Tuesday into Wednesday, is where you really start to increase the accumulated precip. Most places, this is just from an ensemble of many models, but shows most of the state of Virginia, 1 to 2 inches of rain by Wednesday. So, and then additional chances of rain through the end of the week. So again, pretty unsettled. I think that tells the story pretty well. Now, for the high wind potential, I wouldn't necessarily call this high wind, but certainly gusty winds, especially Sunday. So could see some gusts up to 30 miles an hour closer to the coast, maybe right on the beaches, 30 to 35 miles an hour. But again, these winds will be gradually increasing through the weekend with them continuing into next week. Regional forecast summary. Again, the idea is the temperatures aren't going to change too much. Pretty seasonable temperatures, upper 70s to lower 80s through the week, lows in the mid to upper 60s, lower 70s. So the temperatures are going to be, sort of what you see, what you get. It's these precipitation chances that are going to start to increase, especially Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday. Right now we have 40%, 40 to 50% chances of rain. Again, since that's day 5, 6, and 7, those will change. They'll likely increase as we get closer to the event. So again, you can just sort of see that other than a few sprinkles this weekend, really should still be pretty pleasant. Now, with those increased winds and waves, certainly are seeing increasing marine threat potential right through the weekend. These yellowish values are wind gusts of greater than 20 knots or waves greater than 4 feet, 2 to 4 feet. And again, you can start to see that some even today into the Chesapeake Bay and the outer coastal waters. But once you get into tomorrow and especially into the weekend and into early next week, you can see the threat increases. And again, a lot of that is due to the wave action. The waves will be by Sunday and into Monday, up to 7 feet over the open ocean, and up to 3 to 5 feet in the bay. Along with that, those wind gusts of 20 to 30 knots, especially this weekend into next week. Now, this is the maximum wind gust on the left and the max wave on the right. This goes through Sunday evening, so it doesn't include next week. But still, you're seeing a lot of wind gusts as high as 25, maybe 30 knots, certainly upper 20s. And again, this will mainly be on Sunday, late Saturday into Sunday. And again, these waves, again, just repeating, these waves will be building as well. So small craft advisories are almost certain for the weekend and into next week. And here's a marine forecast summary, for various points, just showing you again how these winds will be increasing through the weekend into next week, as well as the waves. Now, again, with that moderate, northeast, east to northeast flow, onshore flow, you can certainly see some nuisance to minor coastal flooding, maybe a foot of inundation, in areas that normally see, tidal flooding, especially in Hampton Roads, maybe along the coast here of the Eastern Shore, but a lot of nuisance flooding, that shallow flooding, maybe a half foot would be expected. And again, this is a 3-day threat, but mainly on Sunday going into Monday. And those rip currents, I mentioned this already, a moderate risk today and tomorrow, But again, there will likely be a moderate to high risk of recurrence this weekend and into next week as those surf heights continue to build. And just wanted to talk about the drought briefly here. The drought has been expanding some across the region. Last week we didn't have much drought in our local area. There's definitely an ongoing drought outside of our area, Northern Virginia and the western part of the Commonwealth. But you can see that some of this D0 drought is expanding into Eastern Virginia, Central Virginia, and again, that's in response to just this dry weather we've seen over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. Hopefully we get some rain next week. I mean, again, looking especially across this part of the state. We'll see some rain next week. Just let's hope it's not too heavy. But hopefully the drought will maybe be relieved a little bit next week, or over the next few weeks again with this unsettled weather developing. And looking ahead to next week, and this is outlook for the middle of next week through next weekend. Again, the temperatures will be at or above, or expected to be at or above normal. And with this above normal precip, the pattern is going to be very stagnant. We're going to keep this persistent easterly, this onshore flow, bringing this moisture. Really, it sort of looks like right through the next weekend. So we have the potential for have just some very unsettled weather right through the week next week. Very unlike what we've had over the past few weeks, which has been gorgeous. And again, these temperatures, even though they're above normal, I wouldn't expect hot temperatures necessarily. Just probably more humidity, more overnight lows being warmer, but temperatures during the day still generally in the low to mid 80s, which is really close to normal for this time of year. So the temperatures above normal temperatures will likely be due more to the overnight lows being warm versus daytime temperatures being that hot. And that's all I have for today. Be happy to entertain any questions on the that you have on the question bank. Otherwise, everyone have a happy and safe weekend. I'll be happy to entertain any questions. All right. Well, I see none on the question board here. Again, thank you so much for taking the time out today, and we will talk to you next week. Thank you so much.